third and final part of our Mille Miglia films. So there's the little Renault 4CV parked up in the morning. That was quite a nice sight, come out to see that. So this is our hotel in Parma, just outside Parma, where we stayed for the night. It was a little drive out. As I said, if you watch the end of the last one, you'll see what we did. And here we've got my sort of modification repair to the charging system. It seemed to be that the charging system was overheating, and we had an issue. As we mentioned, we've had continuous issues with this charging system on this car. I found that by putting some rags on it, wet rags on the dynamo and on the regulator, it seemed to sort of cool it down and all seemed well. So this is where I come up with this idea. Well, then why don't I cable tie a little water bottle to the regulator, work as a sort of heat sim, draw the heat out of it. And that's what I did. And it did seem to work. Now, that might just be me, but it worked. So I don't know how scientific it is, but yeah, I think it's what they call a solid state sort of regulator. It's like a sort of fakey Lucas one, not very good. Anyway, whatever, it worked. But later on, you'll see how hot it gets under that, in that engine bay. We're queuing up to start. So it's just outside. It wasn't far from our hotel, thankfully, so we're all queuing up for the start for the day. It's out most days start with this little queue. There's that lovely Maserati. Yeah, we got, pally with our friends of the Maserati over the event, we'd say hello when we'd see them. And, quick catch up. But yeah, and that's a lovely thing, isn't it? I'm a fan of that. I think I've said that before. So this is Stradella. You can see on the little sign there. And look, they're all very happy to see us. And there's the mayor with his sash. Now, they take it quite seriously, the old Mille. He's a good old boy, isn't he? Old boy's younger than me. Out in the countryside. This is Sigonglo. However you said it. Don't know how you pronounce that one. But there we are in a little procession here. I think this was one of the time trials or average speed things, because we're not travelling very fast, and you'll see that gull wing in front. Well, he's doing that sort of thing of having the doors open, isn't he? Showing off like they do. Seems to be their party trick, doesn't it? And this is Pavia, where I've been before. A wonderful monastery at Pavia I've visited, but it wasn't sunny like this when I went to Pavia. It was really rather cold. And this is Alessandria. There's that lovely other Maserati, the white one. And there's our pals with the red one. So yeah, we're quite taken with these, as you know. And this was an opportunity to see these underneath the hood of the Sportiva, which you don't get to see in the museum. So I thought I really ought to make the most of this and get in there and photograph it, which is exactly what I did. So detail shots. This HWM, again, was a firm favourite of mine. You see how he's put that old tarp over it. It's very evocative, isn't it? Well, that won't be for the rain, will it? That'll be to try and keep some heat off the seats. But yeah, that was a cool bit of kit, wasn't it? Very Dick Dastardly. So it's the Piazza Giuseppe Garibaldi in Alessandria, where we are. So we stopped there for lunch. It was very pleasant, actually. Like it always very pleasant. It really is wonderful, isn't it? There's a place called Ghana. You can see the Sportiva there at the front of the queue. We're all queuing up for some time trial, which is quite nice to have a bit of opportunity to relax for a few minutes. You can see the exhaust smoke on the back of ours. You see it plume up round the back of the overrider and make a little black mark. There we go. Now we're on our way again. Vercelli, this is. There's that lovely Sportiva following us. So that really was one of the cars of the event for me. I've said that more than once about quite different cars, but that is a lovely thing, isn't it? What a sight. As I say, visited this in the museum. That's most people. That's the only opportunity you get to see it. But if we had a drive with it, that really was quite amazing.
Right, so this roundabout is Old Arch.
You see, yeah, yesterday I think we were looking at, or last film we were looking at it.
Where we're going.
We were following it. Well, this time it's following us. So yeah, you get different opportunities, different angles to look at it from.
So in there we're going to get our timestamp. Yeah, I don't know when the card is. Hold on. The cracking card back. There's your card. Got a card there.
Time card. Now in Nuova, it's called. You see these overtaking manoeuvres; they are a bit hairy.
So it's
Yeah. So we're coming into a roundabout here. You see the people are stopping for us, but there's not actually any marshalling here. It's just people that are the goodness of their hearts are working out it's the Millia going through and give us a bit of space. But yeah, it's all right if you've got marshals there or the police, but when you haven't, it's a bit of a free for all, and you do worry a bit.
Finishing any minute anyway. Then we go right to the next one. And that should be, we're pretty much here for this timestamp, okay? And it's going to be all this whatever we do with our timestamps.
Now we're getting late into the evening. See the sun's getting low, so we're into 7:15 here. So we still have quite a fair way to go. There's some good shots of it in there. Really appreciate that. The Sportiva really is pretty special. But don't forget, underneath it, it's just an Alfa 1900, just like we're driving. But in a very, very sharp suit, as it were. I don't know what that's all about. That was on the lamppost. And here we are, outskirts of Milan. It's about 8 o'clock now. We're trying to pick our way into Milan. It's very difficult, very awkward trying to get through Milan. There's a Duomo, so Piazza Duomo. So this is where they have Da Vinci's Last Supper. Not in the Duomo, but in a separate museum, just in that square, as it were. And that Duomo, it's all marble. You can see it's an amazing place. And I've actually walked on the roof of there, because you can go up and you can walk around. Not this time. I didn't have the opportunity. But yeah, you walk right across the roof. It's quite something. And this is some shopping sort of area they built. Well, Milan's famous for shopping, isn't it? As we know. Not that I'm bothered about that sort of stuff. Not that type of shopping and not that type of shop. And here we are. So you can see how we've had this issue with that water bottle. So you can see there where it said we've been in a real struggle getting into Milan. It was very hot. A bit of a crawl up there. There was a couple in the Millicento, and their car, got so hot they were struggling to restart it in the traffic. And I jumped out and gave them a push and pushed them, most of the way up the hill into Milan. It wasn't a very steep hill, but it was too hot to be pushing a car. But they were struggling, so yeah. So I did oblige and help. So that's that. So yeah, so because of the heat, you can see my water bottle trick, where you can see what's happened. The whole top of it has melted with that heat in the engine bay, and sort of expanded out as the water's expanded, and it sort of distorted all the top. Now you imagine how hot it is under the engine bay for that to happen. And that was it. So then we parked up a bit further out of Milan in some absolutely colossal hotel. It was. I'd never been in a hotel of that size before. It seemed to swallow up the whole of the Mille Miglia and the Ferrari Mille Miglia tribute, and it was all in an underground car park. All the cars, it was. I've never been to something such a large hotel. And it's quite a swanky room. It was a big room. It wasn't that they had a lot of rooms because they were all small. They had a lot of big rooms. Anyway, I didn't bother taking a photo of the room. Didn't think it was very relevant. So on to the next day, and here we are in Bergamo. So this is at the Brembo factory, which is why it's bright red like that. So Brembo brakes, famous on Italian cars. Well, there we are. And now we're in Brescia. So handing in our time card. So all the way through, and this is it. They're flagging us down. They're saying, here you go. So here we are. We're just about to queue up. Let people get quite excited, waving and so on. Because
Cool.
if you see what's going on, you work it out. This is it. This is it. So they've got their pals come to see them and eating ice creams and the like.
We get a thing of wine.
Wow, there you go.
Well, I think.
Might do.
So there's the clock.
Well, you must
Time.
go there and then round, I guess.
We go park up somewhere.
Okay. That's it.
Card it.
That's it.
It's done.
That is it.
That's
Right,
it.
where to?
2,200 kilometres.
Let's get beyond it.
Now that's the longest Millia they've ever done. Yeah, it's a bit more than 1,000 miles, isn't it? So we sort of parked up here because we didn't quite know what to do with ourselves. Decided we'd have a little rest, you see. And in our sort of relief for finishing and excitement and with that, we forgot to drive over the ramps at the end. The big red carpet ramps where where you get your bottle of wine and all this sort of stuff and your nonsense and your medal and so on, and that's it. So we've completed the distance, we've done the times, we've handed the card in, so that's it, and that was it. We left the car there, wandered off. Well, where do you have lunch? And some marshal sort of said, oh, there or there, sort of pointing over. And of course, so not only did we not go over the start ramps, we forgot to go to the Rexia Forum, which is where it all started. You remember all the signing on for our big lunch. That was supposed to be our final lunch. I completely forgot that's what we had to do. Ended up having a pizza. He's only seeing some people wandering around with medals that I said, well, I'm not so sure we shouldn't be picking them up here. I'm not quite sure what's going on. And with that, Sheridan had a look in his emails and said, oh, we're supposed to, I think we're supposed to get it somewhere. He asked somebody, and that was it. They said, yeah, you go when you go over the ramps. What ramps? The ramps down there. Of course, it's all shut by now. They've finished. So that was that. So, they said go to the Brescia Forum. So we went over there. Well, lunch had finished. Did get an ice cream, which was nice. So we went to see the officials, and they said, well, not going over the ramps, well, that means you haven't really completed it. So you're going to have to do it again. Only backwards, and in high heels. If you don't know what that means, it's Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers joke. Look it up. So, yeah, no medals, no wine. What are we going to do? Perhaps we have to go back next year. So there's just sort of people parked up afterwards. I think they're probably similar to us. They probably didn't quite work out what they're supposed to do, or sort of just milling around and in a bit of relief. I think, you know, what was happening, the marshals really should have been just saying that you've got to go down there and funneling us down there, but they weren't. They weren't really sort of being very, very forthright or forceful about it, so it didn't really happen. So I thought, well, you know, get some shots of this anyway. So I was glad to do that. And this little Menacento, that was a quick little thing as well. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, they was buzzing by. See the brake dust build up on our car? Well, it did some work, didn't it? There it is at rest. And there we are. So I got a chap who was, I don't think he's a marshal, he's just someone, you know, looked like he was digging the roads up, to be honest. He'll take that photo. And he managed to stick his finger in front of the lens. At least we've got a photo of us finishing. And there's a little 4CV coming in. As you know, I'm a little bit of a fan of the Arbor stuff, so there we go in that corner. He likes a Leica. And he likes a Vespa. Yeah, and you know, people doing it in them things. And that's back at the hotel. I just thought this was a pretty cool green, wasn't it? So I thought we'd get a shot of that. And there we are, parked up for the night. So that was it, really. So I think we should have a look at the results and see where we came. So I thought we'd have a little run through of the results and a little analysis and overview of the event. So the first place went to car number 50, which is an Alfa Romeo C6 1750 SS. So that's one of the old 1930s jobbies. Apparently it's won it 4 years in a row. They're from Brescia and they're from the Brescia Car Club. So apparently it's the Brescia Mafia. That's what my mate said anyway. They always win. But anyway, yeah, so that's that. But what I thought is more relevant to you guys and to me is the cars that have been in the films and stuff I've talked about and stuff I've drawn your attention to. So let's just, you know, do that. If you want to see the full list, just go on the Mille Miglia website. You can download it all and see. So we've got in place 156 is car number 221, which is that Emirne, the little 1100 Sport, the little one from Japan, the red one, you know, with the egg cake grill. Yeah, well there you go. Like that car. That's a good finish, isn't it, for that? Very good finish. And in place 170, car number 422, which is a Fiat 600. And you know how much you like them. So it just goes to show you don't have to have something fast in performance to get a fairly good result. I mean, that's a strong result for a little thing like that. And it ain't quick, is it? It ain't a fast car. And in place 204, we've got car number 296. Well, one of my favourites, the Alfa Romeo 1900 Sportiva. Again, a good result. Bear in mind, that's just a card, you know, borrowed from the factory. That's quite something, I think. And then in 225, we've got car number 251, which is the Ferrari 166 Spider Vignale, which belonged to the chap we got friendly with in the hotel when we first arrived. And that's the ex-Sterling Moss car, apparently. And then 283, which is car number 423, the Renault 4CV, which again proves you don't need a fast car to get a fairly good result. Now, that's a lovely little car, that, isn't it? But they ain't quick, And as you know, I've restored one of them, used it as our wedding car, so I know the way around it. Although it's an earlier version with the spider wheels we have. Have these anyway, you'll have to look it up. There's these funny little French wheels that they go in for, where the wheel bolts are on the rim rather than on the centre of it. So you have two sets of bolts. You have the hub, and the drums all held onto the hub with the centre of the wheel, and then the outside of the wheel is just bolted on around the perimeter, and they're a bit like the French trucks like that. Anyway, the one in the picture you were looking at isn't like that. That one's got the later wheels, which they fitted to the later Delphines. So that's although early Delphines had early Renault 4CV wheels, but later Delphines had this style of wheel, which is more common to the Delphine and the Florida Coupe and things like that, and on the later 4CVs. So they're not actually as attractive as the early ones, but you know, it's not hurt its feelings. It's a dead cute little car. And then in 302 was car number 333, which was that sort of aubergine coloured AC Ace that we'd quite often follow. Now that was a quick car, so yeah, it did all right, didn't it? You know, that's that. And then another quick car, 310, is 351, that HWM. Now, you know, that was a quick thing. That was a really cool bit of kit. And apparently that was a one supplied by Fiskins, Gregor Fiskins, one they sold this year. So whoever managed to buy that is certainly using it properly. And then there's in place 316 is car 334. Do you know that car? Well, that's us. So again, that's a good result. You know, we're in good company there, aren't we? I think. And bear in mind, you know, that's sort of we've never done anything like this before. I've never read a tulip map before. I've never prepared a car for the Mille Miglia, and we've never driven so far and so hard in an old car. And you know, neither of us have done anything like that before. So that's a very good result, I think. I'm quite pleased with that. Yeah, so that's over 450 cars started, and so we're way up from there. Nearly 90 cars dropped out though. But yeah, we're still ahead of quite a few that were in it, some salubrious cars. Okay, in place 333 is car number 76, which was the Alfa 8C Zagato, which is another Fiskins car. So there we go, 335, matching numbered car. Car number 335. I don't know how they managed that. Well, that's the Maserati A6 GCS, which again was supplied by Fiskins. But yeah, you know how much I like that car, and you've seen it tearing past us on many occasions in the film. So how we managed to beat that, I do not know. But there you go. That's you know, we didn't disgrace ourselves, did we? So there we are. And then in place 336, car 72, which is another Alfa 8C Spider Zagato, which is another Fiskins car. And that is actually Gregor Fiskin himself in that car. So, and if you know anything about Gregor, and you know, you hear him and you see him driving at the Revival, Le Mans Classic, all these things, you know, he's a very, very good driver. And yeah, some of the world's best stock of cars, you know, mainly competition based things, or competition lean anyway, in that London Muse, you know, amazing place to visit. And yeah, so you know, we did quite well in our little old Alfa to come ahead of him, because normally these older cars, particularly the fast things like that, would you know, would be coming in a lot near the top, you know. And if you look at the car that won, it was that type of thing, wasn't it? But of note, this car was actually a Scuderia Ferrari car, so it was an original Scuderia Ferrari race team, you know, from back in the day, before, when he ran the Alfa Romeo race team before setting up Ferrari itself. So yeah, so an Enzo car. So yeah, that's quite cool. There we go. And bear in mind the amount of money that's chucked at these cars. You know, they're proper things, and they'd have had some very good support. Supported, funnily enough, by Jim Stokes' workshop, supported all the Fiskins cars. And yeah, they again have a very good reputation. So those cars were wanted for nothing. So I think we did quite well with our little car. You know, box of spanners in the back and spares, and just getting it there ourselves. So then a couple of other sort of cars of note. That beautiful white Maserati A6 GCS driven by the lovely German ladies. Well, I can't find any results. So that's car 348. doesn't seem to be in the results, which I'm assuming it retired, which is a bit, don't know what happened to that. That's a shame. I'd like to find out what happened to that. I hope it all's well, but it must have retired if it's not in the results. Then we have car number 294, which is that beautiful Ferrari. Do you remember that? That we followed it from the Brescia Forum at the beginning. Well, I can't see that in the results, so I've got a feeling that didn't finish as well. So yeah, I don't know what happened to that. Who knows? Who knows what happened there? So that's about the size of it. What do you reckon? Do you reckon I'll get on with some work now? Get back in the workshop. You can get back to some normal films now, can't we? But I better take my medal off my lanyard. Otherwise, it'll get in the way, won't it? Scratch the paint. So I'll say good night. I'll go and put them back in the toolbox or wherever I'm going to keep them. And then we better get them done.